A big issue in violin making is to respect how the maker made the entire instrument or bring it to somebody who is able to make it sound even better. What would you do if you have a nice Italian violin, 40, 50 years old, and it doesn't sound? Stay tuned, and today we talk about a specific case, Bruno Donà, 1982. Hello, back again. This is Edgar from Cremona, Italy, and I'm always trying to make all instruments sound as good as possible, right? Especially the ones we make here, but even if customers show up with their violin and say, hey master, could we sound it just a little bit? Now next month I go to the US and a lot of appointments are just sound adjusting their instruments. Some they bought them already from me, some have other instruments, old instruments. They went already to all the makers around and they are unhappy how it sounds. Now it's every instrument you can sound improve, yeah? Japanese culture is extremely respectful, and it is so extreme that in case of violin making, it is common use of Japanese customers that before they decide to buy an instrument, they're studying a lot about the makers. Once they have figured out which maker they want to get an instrument built for them, they make the order, they get the instrument, and then how it sounds. They want it that it is made just how the maker wants it. And if the instrument doesn't sound, they keep the instrument even if it doesn't sound, because for them this is how the maker wanted the instrument. Very nice concept on one side. For us from European culture or even American culture, very difficult to understand. For me, a violin, a cello, whatever, has a specific use to produce a sound and to sound beautiful. It should sound right away from the first day, but it should become even better over the years, yes? From 2nd to 8th of October 2025, I will be in California, Anaheim, Arvin, and that area. If you want to meet me, look at the QR code which comes now, and then you go into the calendar and you can fix an appointment to meet me. Okay, this would be one option, or down below in the description of this video you will find the link to the calendar to fix an appointment. And it would be nice that we can meet up. Now there's a bunch of traditional old makers from Italy, worldwide, actually everywhere, and all those instruments which don't sound. Then customers hear from the makers of those instruments that this piece is specifically old and they found it like this and this like this, and the wood preparation, the varnish, and they talk so much about the whole thing, but the instrument itself doesn't sound. And this was a very common method of sales for most makers in that period of time between First and Second World War. And then slowly they had to reconstruct the entire violin making here in Cremona. And like it has been here in Cremona, the rest of the world, everybody had other problems than here talking about how to build a great sounding violin, yeah? All this tradition had to be relearned again and re-studied. And in these years, these instruments didn't sound that great. And people thought that it's more a question of the material, of the model, of other things, and the miracle varnish, because they didn't have the scientific research behind the whole thing. So we have a bunch of violin makers which worked for many years, delivered to students, average level students, instruments for a very low price. They enjoyed doing it because building instruments is always nice, but the instruments themselves didn't really sound. Together with that, they were convinced that if the instrument is thick and heavy, it will take years to start vibrating and then it will sound great. Said that, Today I want to show you a violin which I just happened to me. It's a typical work of a violin maker from Padova, from that area, Padova. I just saw it in the workshop of a colleague of mine, and he just said, yeah, you know, this shit doesn't sound, and And so then, how much do you sell it? Yeah, I took it for a few thousands. And you look at it, and it has some, it is nicely made. You can tell there is somebody 40 years ago who took and invested time to make it. He even made his own pegs, even the tailpiece, the chin rest, and everything. But the whole thing, when you look at it, I get hundreds of ideas what I could do to make it sound better. And the customers didn't want to see this violin anymore because it doesn't sound, you know. Even Lena, when I talked to her, could you play this one in the beginning? And she just said, hola, wow. And then at the very end, when we took the recording, you will hear it, it sounds pretty good. But this is because Lena is a professional musician. She's always willing to get the maximum out of it. So at the very end, you can at least listen to the music and you say, well, damn, Edgar, it's so bad how it sounds. But in reality, I can tell you it sounds, from my point of view, awful. The distance of the strings are wrong. The fingerboard, it's a fingerboard, okay? Fingerboard, put a tick, done. But it's not how it should be. It is here. It has an appearance. It has a personality. It's all somehow he wanted to do something great, but it's not working properly. Now, when I got this violin, I just thought, okay, but it would be nice to have some, like a paper or something. And the previous owner, before giving it to my colleague, contacted Bruno Donà and went to Tre Ponti di Teolo, Padova, and even got a certificate. Then the whole thing is written probably by his nephew or something, and then the signature and the date is written by an old man's signature. The certificate has been signed on September 2024, so at least in 2024 Bruno Donà was still alive. He must be between 90, around 90 years old now, 80, 90 years, definitely, yeah. I even searched in all my books here, but there is nothing written about this maker. He was an amateur violin maker, and out of these ones there are tons. Even I myself are offering Enrico Bertoncini, and if you are searching on Enrico Bertoncini, you find nothing. We have to respect there are some people who do not want to promote themselves. They don't want to be public person. I'm definitely exactly the opposite, how we all know. And now my big question is, should I leave it like this? Because of course, you know, if you see these pegs, damn, they're just so fancy. They look like these yellow mushrooms, Pfifferling in Italian. Somehow it hurts me that I say, okay, we throw them out, but I probably will take it out and I will put some in the right dimension, proportion at least, pegs, boxwood, since he wanted boxwood. The fingerboard, I just have to pop that off and make a new one. The neck is a little bit banana shape, how you might know that I do not love it. End button, very nice. So in case I have to reset the neck, I will do everything to maintain that one without putting an ebony crown. Yeah, the bridge probably has been changed by somebody else because this one doesn't fit to the rest. And I'm glad that I don't have to look at the bridge, what he would have done originally. Probably if I can avoid to open the violin, I will avoid. I don't want to reschedule now everything, the whole concept. But at least, let's say, body and scroll, I would leave, and the rest I would just update in a way that it's comfortable, a nice neck, a neck how people are used to, good bridge, and then we can get out of it a new tailpiece, and then we will see how the instrument sounds. This is my initial plan. Very likely I will invest my time and make it sound better. This is why I actually bought it, because I thought, hey, we could make a nice video about this violin. And then of course later on it will cost, now I don't want to say double, but yeah, probably, why not? You know, it's 1982, and then I invest a lot of time. We make the neck, the fingerboard, the sound post, the bridge, change everything, start cleaning, a little bit of retouching here in some areas. It's not said now that if we open or not. This is just, it depends on measuring where the bass bar is and all this, yeah. And then of course at the very end it costs much more, and this difference of price is human time, effort, knowledge, experience which goes into this violin in order that you have a Bruno Donà which sounds great. And Bruno, when he will listen to his violin, will be proud to be the maker of this great sounding violin. This would be something which would be nice. This is my way of respect to these makers. How do you think about this? Now, before you tell me how you think, you first have to subscribe to this channel. Otherwise, we cannot buy violins and do all these kind of things in order that you learn for free here. Clicking just the button doesn't cost that much and helps a lot. And then let me know, what would you prefer? Have it collecting dust in a showcase at your house and you say, I am the owner of the only Bruno Donà with original pegs and tailpiece and everything? Or would you appreciate have a Bruno Donà which sounds great and all your friends and everybody says, wow, what are you playing? Is I play a Bruno Donà. Let me know how you think about Bruno Donà, typical amateur violin maker from Italy, and there are hundreds out there. We don't even know that they existed. And then see you next time. Ciao, ciao.